And welcome back, guys. Today was, or still is, round number 4 of the European Team Chess Championship, and Austria was up against Lithuania, and I played against Gustas Morkunas, a FIDE master, I think around 16 years old, and I was by far the clearest favorite of the whole match. So with the white pieces especially, I really needed to try to play for a win. Let's see how the game went. I just got back from the game, so the match is still progressing. After we analyze my game, we can have a look at how the other guys are doing. So I went for c4, he went e6, knight c3, d5, that was pretty expected, d4, and now he went for d takes c4, which I briefly prepared. Mind you that I also played the same line against Dominic Horvath in our World Cup qualification match with the black side. I played that, but mostly I prepared for some other Queen's Gambit, so this was only a small area of preparation for today. I went for e4, which is the downside of capturing here of this system. Otherwise, if black goes for the classical exchange variation, for example, how do you get that? You can only get it via d4 typically, and d takes e4. Now e4 is possible immediately as well, but black hasn't committed himself to going e6 yet. So there, for example, there's the move e5. So for a pretty long time, this variation didn't have the greatest reputation because white gets e4 here, and now obviously black is not really interested in going e5 anymore, and white is just gaining back the pawn on the next move. He played c5, which is the whole point of the line, and now I went for d5. The other move here is knight f3, which Dominic also played against me in our encounter when black has two moves. C takes d4 is possible, and also the move knight f6 was possible, which I played against Dominic. The game then went on d5, e takes d5, and I think he went for e5 in this position. I will link the analysis of that game. I'll put some info card if you're curious about that. You can watch it too. But for this game, I went d5. He went knight f6. The move order doesn't really matter, at least for the variation which I played. Knight f6, bishop takes c4, e takes d5, and here I went for the line with knight takes d5, just because I wasn't sure that the line is so likely to happen, and therefore I did not want to spend too much time on the line with e takes d5 here, which tends to become more complicated if I remember correctly here. Black goes bishop d6 and now queen e2 check. And now black has to go back with the bishop, I believe, because queen e7 runs into knight b5. Maybe I should have checked that and went for the complications here, but one cannot always prepare everything. And I thought that this line, by taking on d5 with the knight, leads to sort of a simple game for white and a small edge. But it wasn't so simple over the board. He played bishop e7. Now, first of all, as you can see, I spent a few minutes here. I still knew that knight e2 was the move which I prepared. I also checked knight f3, so therefore I was trying to figure out which one to go for. And also, I was thinking about the move queen b3, which I remembered that the computer was not showing it, but I still tried to figure out why. And then I at least thought that after short castle, which is forced, otherwise f7 will drop. The idea is bishop takes b7, but then I saw that black has the intermediate move c4, when probably I'm in some trouble, at least because I'm underdeveloped. I cannot take here because then black takes on b7. And if queen b5, I didn't really continue thinking here because, well, black is probably winning like this. Bishop b4 at some moment, not here. How do I get it? But anyway, it looks pretty scary overall. I don't know how exactly black should continue here. Maybe a move like knight c6 is possible. And if queen takes c6, then bishop b4 works because the queen doesn't cover the b4 square anymore. And then it should be checkmate, king e2 and queen d3. So I was still thinking about this line because sometimes I guess it happens that you're not sure about a move. Maybe you didn't check it, or maybe it's maybe you mixed it up. So it still makes sense to make sure that this doesn't work here. But I went for knight e2. As I said, knight f3 is also possible. The idea of placing knight on e2 is going to be obvious in a second because I want to place it on c3. He went for knight e7, which is one of the possible moves. Also knight c6 and knight a6 are possible, which might even be a little bit more precise. From knight c6, of course, it would allow white to take on c6, ruining the structure, but black does have sufficient counterplay in a position like this with active ideas like bishop a6. I think knight a6 was one of the moves I was thinking of playing from the black side with both ideas knight c7 or knight b4. So knight d7, knight c3, knight f6, and here I spent a lot of time on this move bishop c4. I still kind of remember that in the same variation with knight a6, knight c3, knight b4 here, the computer was showing the move bishop f4, if I recall correctly. But I wasn't so sure about all the details, and bishop f4 was the move which I wanted to play at first. But then I didn't really see how it continues here after knight takes d5. I thought e takes d5 is possible, but I didn't really see where this pawn is going. Like if black goes for something like b6, I don't know if this is possible here, but let's just say a sample line like d6, bishop f6. If black can place the bishop to b7, he's happy to do so. And even if queen d5, he will develop the bishop somewhere. And whoops, I didn't really see, yeah, what am I doing with the pawn on d6? Of course, it looks nice, but it can also become a weakness later on. So I was mostly calculating knight takes d5. Now I have the annoying threat of knight takes d7 followed by bishop d6. For example, after bishop e6, I can take here and go bishop d6, winning the exchange. So I thought that bishop d6 is forced. And here I was mostly focused on trading on d6 and then going for something like queen b3, trying to avoid him from developing. But after b6, I really didn't see that white has so much here. Like one sample line which I looked at, rook d1, bishop b7, rook d2, I still was looking into taking over the d file, but in general, like even if black takes on d5 at some moment, which he probably shouldn't do, I have the d file, but still the drawing tendency is gonna be pretty high in all of those scenarios. But what I missed, or I think what I missed was the move e5. I already checked that this is the way to go here for the white side, which is pretty anti-positional if you think about it, because it blocks the bishop on f4, but things are pretty concrete. And what I think I missed was that after bishop e7 here, white has a very strong move e6. And now I have the same threat once again, that if bishop takes e6, then I can take on e7, queen e7, bishop d6, and I'm just winning the exchange. Things are still not so clear if black goes bishop b8, because black does have the bishop here as a long-term asset, but white has a pretty strong initiative after, for example, the move queen b3 followed by rook d1, and black's pieces don't really find any good squares here. So I'm a bit upset for not finding this resource here, especially since I wanted to play bishop f4 basically at tempo, which maybe I should have done, and maybe my opponent wouldn't even have captured on d5, which would have been good news for me. But I just got carried away in all of those variations. And I also thought that by placing his knight on f6, maybe it's an even better version now to put the bishop to c4, which probably wouldn't be possible if black would have placed the knight to b4. So now I'm just avoiding him from trading my bishop on d5, bishop c4, bishop e6. Now again, I spent some time and took on e6 immediately. Maybe a better try was to go for queen e2 or queen b3, and then to go for a position like this. I was just not sure if black, for example, plays like this. I was thinking about queen e2. Now that I think about it, maybe queen b3 is a better try. So I was thinking about queen e2, and then, for example, rook d8, bishop e3, queen d3, take everything, and I didn't really see what am I playing for here. If someone is better, it's probably still white, because I do have like an extra central pawn, but I felt like it should be extremely solid for black too. So I traded on e6, trying to keep the queens on the board. I played queen e2, he played queen e7. I was mostly expecting queen c7, because from d7 he is kind of running into the d file, but it probably doesn't really matter, because he's anyway gonna put the queen to c6 on the next move. Played bishop g5, queen c6, and now rook d1. He played rook a8. I thought all of that was extremely logical. I played queen c4. Maybe here I can try to do something else. Like, mind you that black has already completely equalized here. I still felt like, at least practically speaking, white probably has a nicer position. But objectively speaking, there's nothing wrong with black's position. In general, I've also felt like going f4 might be a possible idea. But even here, if he goes rook d8, e5 is a very committal move overall, and after knight d5, like in a position like this, I could definitely be worse as well. If black puts the knight to f5, can double on the d file. So f4 seemed like quite a risky move as well. Rook d1 felt logical, rook a8, now queen c4 is what I played. He played h6, bishop h4. Rook f8 surprised me a little bit. He is protecting the bishop on e7, but I thought that some move like king h8 is more logical, just stepping out of this diagonal. But still, I could not find anything special here for white. After some thought, I went for the move a4. It's strange that it's not really showing the times here, but I did think for a for a while, and actually my first idea was to go for f3 in this position. Just trying to protect the pawn here and also trying to make some luft for the king. That was generally a small problem for me, that I didn't really see a great place for a great way to make a luft for the king. Like h3 can be a little bit weakening, especially if I want to play f3 later on, then all of the dark squares are weakened. g3 obviously doesn't work because it would trap my bishop. So f3 was the move I wanted to make, but then I saw that he can take on d1, rook d1, and now knight g4. This was what was really bothering me. The point is, if bishop takes e7, knight e3, and I thought that I'm just losing an exchange here, because if I move the queen somewhere, let's say to d3, knight takes d1, and yeah, if I take back, he takes on e7, and he just won an exchange. So then I realized that and didn't even want to play f3. I mean, maybe I can take back with the knight here on d1, but yeah, I mean, that would also allow black to play b5, so that's not really what I want to do. So I'm curious what the computer wants to play here. He does want to go for e5, which I was, of course, also thinking about in general, but after knight d5, I didn't really see how it continues. So bishop takes e7, I thought he would take back with the rook. I was briefly thinking about the move knight e4 here. Maybe that's what I should do. What was did I think about knight f4 here? The rook on d8 is just hanging in this position. And apart from that, if I get the knight to d6, I could have achieved something. Let me see. e5, knight d5, take on e7. Yeah, rook e7 is already not so great for black, but knight takes e7 is possible. And if I go knight e4 here, then he's in time for knight f5 in this position. So yeah, this is taking with the knight is still completely fine for black here. Another possibility was to go for bishop g3 immediately, maybe trying to prepare f3. I did do that one move later, but then it was probably a worse version. Even though after a6, I'm also not sure what I should do here, because if I go a4, it's going to transpose to the game. And apart from that, black is probably happy to go b5 on the next move. So I played a4, which seemed like a natural move, just stopping b5, but he just goes a6, and he's renewing the threat of going b5, which especially can be an issue since after all of the trades, the pawn on e4 can be hanging. I played bishop g3, again spending some time for that. I realized that now he's in time to play b5 and many pieces are going to come off the board, but I didn't really see a better way to play here, because again e5 would be similar to before. Which I didn't really like so much. a5 was the other option for white here, but I felt like this is quite a risky move, strategically speaking as well. I mean, also for black, because I'm fixing his structure. But if we imagine some endgame, then the pawn on a5 can sometimes just be undefendable. So out of those grounds, I didn't want to make this move. And still, I didn't really see what is my next move even. Like if he makes a move like king h8 in this position, I'm not sure what I'm even doing here, because yeah, I don't see a way to improve the position. Like if I go bishop g3, maybe I can do it here, then trying to prepare f3. That's possible. But in a scenario like this, I was thinking he could now trade the pieces and go rook d8, because I stepped out of the pin. And this is what I was talking about earlier, that here, probably this was not white's perfect play, but here the pawn on a5 could become a target. So therefore I went bishop g3, now he went b5, and here if I trade on b5 with the queen, then he can take on e4, and it's just equal. I took with the knight on b5, still trying to play for something. Queen takes e4, now queen c1, at least keeping the queens on the board. If I trade here, there's just nothing going on. Like I can play bishop e5 or anything, but black can just trade something or go rook d5 at some moment. So yeah, nothing is happening here. So I played queen c1, trying to keep the queens on the board. He played knight d5, and here I played rook fe1. I think my last chance here was to go for the move rook d to e1, which I was a little bit annoyed for not trying after I played rook fe1. The whole point is that, like in the game, he also played queen a4, and I played knight c7, just with this rook being on d1. And after trading now, at least black cannot exchange this pair of rooks, and I have some pressure on the pawn on e6. Still, black is completely fine after rook d7, bishop e5, but at least some pieces are on the board. I can put the bishop to c3, and black still has the issue of the pawn on e6 being a target. Also should be a draw, of course, but I would have had some chances to press water from the stone here. After rook fe1, which I played in the game, queen a4, knight c7, knight takes c7, bishop takes c7, just all of those pieces came off the board. I even need to be careful, kind of careful that black doesn't get something like bishop f6 and c4, fixing my weakness on b2, which then could be lost. Like rook takes e1 should also be fine, but yeah, I didn't really see the reason to go for that. So we traded queens, bishop f6, b3, rook c8, bishop f4, c4, and everything was traded. And here my opponent offered a draw, which I accepted. So pretty disappointing result for me. I'm still quite upset that I wasn't able to exert basically any pressure. I mean, my opponent did play well, but I think I just made it way too easy for him. I don't know what I should have done differently. Maybe the opening choice was not great. Maybe also this moment that I just didn't go for the move bishop f4, which was kind of my feeling. But apart from that, like after that, he played a good game. So I don't know what I can say. I feel really bad for the team because I had the white pieces and I was the player with 200 points more, which was not the case on any of the other boards. So I feel really horrible about the match, especially that it's really not clear how it's going now. And I was the first to finish, not making any pressure whatsoever. I feel pretty upset about that. But yeah, there's nothing I can do about it. I can quickly show you what is going on in the other games. So this is Markus Raga's game. Markus has black pieces. Let me actually see what is going on here. Is Markus turning things around here? Because when I was leaving the tournament hall, it was somewhere around here when I did feel like things are a little bit dangerous for Markus, because at some moment h6 could come. But it looks like he made a great decision with g takes h5, just stopping h6, which of course is a very difficult decision to make here because you are weakening the king. Knight f4, queen h6, rook takes h5, and now queen f6. So he doesn't want to go here immediately because of knight takes h5 with the tempo. That's what I'm guessing. So queen h6, rook h5, now queen f6, rook a5, queen d4, rook a8, nice trick, cannot take on e3 because of intermediate check, and black is going to be a rook down. So bishop c8, queen a3. So white was, or still is, pushing quite a lot here. But yeah, now Markus has some threats with rook h8. So bishop g4, rook h8. This is the current position on the board. I did not check this with the computer. The evil bar, as far as I can tell, shows that it's equal. What is the thing here? Because the problem is white cannot take on c8 with either piece, because after rook c8 there's queen a1 check and queen h1 checkmate. And after bishop takes c8 there's queen d1, king g2, and queen h1, also with checkmate. So what can white play here? I mean, bishop takes g4 is coming. Maybe he has to go back with the bishop to f3, just trying to keep everything covered. But I mean, black is certainly not worse anymore. Yeah, white has to go back with the bishop somewhere. So Markus is out of danger at the very least. Let's see how Valentin is doing. So it looks like he gave a pawn. They have been in this type of endgame for some time, where Valentin has been trying to grind out an advantage. And it looks like he's sacrificed a pawn here to, I guess, clamp down the black's pawns and get the f5 square for the knight, and then maybe go to d4. Should be a draw, objectively speaking. But yeah, I don't know. I guess Valentin still has some chances. Hard to believe that black would have any chances in this position. And board one here, unfortunately, Kirill was under quite a lot of pressure. He sacrificed the exchange at some moment and tried to build a fortress like this. And this is the current position which we're having. So white obviously is playing on. And it does look pretty close for black. I mean, rook e7 might come pretty quickly. It's not hopeless for black, but I mean, the match is not looking great for us, especially because of my play today. I would like to add. Anyway, I hope it's gonna turn out for the good. I mean, the match is not lost yet or anything, but yeah, I mean, not winning the game, or at least doing something in the game, is really yeah, is really annoying me. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I still hope the analysis was instructive and somewhat enjoyable. I hope I will see you guys tomorrow. Anyway, I will see you guys tomorrow. If I'm playing or not, it doesn't matter. I will keep you updated. So thank you guys, and I will see you tomorrow, as I said.